Ladies and gentlemen, here is your keynote speaker, UDO UKO INOYO. Please permit me to stand on existing protocol. I know time is fast spent, and everybody will be eager to get out of here very soon. I thank the university's management for this honor to ask me to speak at this graduation ceremony. I must confess that I was a bit surprised by the invitation, since, as you probably know, it is not enough for public institutions in Nigeria to look outside government circles, so we must always be grateful to you for guiding and inspiring us to be who we are. Great Nigerian students! Great Nigerian students! Let me especially congratulate the graduating students. Some of you have been here far longer than the time you expected through no fault of yours. I will return later to address you, but for now, I am pleading if you can minimize the use of your expensive gadgets, iPad, iPhone, and just be settled, I will be grateful. I plan to speak for about 30 minutes, but I will rush through this paper. I have to make a confession that I was surprised by the choice of topic initially given to me by the university. Nigeria's education in a season of economic and moral decay, the way forward. I'm not sure why this was picked as a graduation speech, but I've made a slight adjustment so that I can have time to address the graduating class. So I will be speaking on the subject, Nigerian university graduates, challenges and opportunities in a season of economic and moral decay. But before I proceed, let me make another confession. Some of my siblings, in fact 3 of my sisters, graduated from this university. And I've also worked with many of the alumni. While graduates of the older universities carry some air of superiority, I will never forget how a fresh accounting graduate of this university outperformed candidates of other universities at the mobil recruitment interview in 1991. He graduated with a first class, decisively defended the award, and by so doing, changed the perception of people about degrees awarded from this institution. So let me be upfront that I have a lot of respect for this university. But now back to the topic. What exactly do we mean when we talk about moral or we talk about decay? Quickly, moral means to be ethical, honest, decent, honorable, and decay connotes rot, decomposition, falling into a state of disrepair. So in the context of this discourse, we could say that a season of economic and moral decay would, among other things, connote shrinking quality of life, economic opportunities, and our society's retreat from what is ethical, right, honest, decent, and honorable. It speaks of an era in which the education sector is in a comatose state, if not a state of total collapse. And to contend with examination malpractices of various types, admissions racketeering, records falsification, and what have you. Then last year, this day newspaper carried a comprehensive study on the state of education, primarily in the university. The caption was, "This is your university." The photographs, in conclusion, was titled, "Issue of Shame." Unfortunately, as I speak, not much has changed, so the dialogue needs to continue. But it is also important that we reflect on how all of us, parents, government, university management, teachers, students, and others, have contributed to this sordid state of affairs, and then begin to think about what we can do to redress the situation. And I want to approach this from 3 angles. Number 1, departure from core values. Since we are very fond of quoting the holy books, let me begin with the biblical injunction that the truth will set us free. At the heart of the economic and moral decay in our society is the steady but unmitigated departure from what we used to stand for as a people. We used to pride ourselves as a hardworking, honest, and caring people who prefer a good name to ill-gotten wealth. We used to believe in what is right, what is fair, what is just and reasonable. But not anymore. I did commend parents and guardians for their sacrifices in investing in the education of their children. But if truth be told, what some parents do these days is not just mind-boggling, but plainly unconscionable. The saddest part is that they do these things with so much ease and sense of normalcy that we no longer feel any shame. I'm always grateful to my parents because they set very clear examples as to what we needed to do, who we needed to follow. And I can remember that even as a graduate worker, my father would refuse 3,000 naira I gave to him. He always worried the source of money. How do our teachers fare? Many teachers are not ennobling examples in setting the moral compass for their students. And you know what's going on. I wonder how many lecturers today will award a fail grade to their good friends or the children of their good friends who do not do well in their courses. That is what my commercial law lecturer, a good friend I used to party in my house, did to me in 1986. I had a receipt in his subject, and till today I'm grateful to him. Some lecturers have destroyed the lives of many students who refuse to give in to their demands. There's this lady I recently met. She resides in Germany, and she narrated to me her experience when she studied in this school many years ago. She was brazenly harassed by one of her lecturers and eventually had to withdraw from school. Though she is today successful, there is no doubt that she still carries that pain and the memories of that ordeal. Straight face that the funds allocated for improvement of infrastructure are judiciously used. For the government officials who allocate and release budgets, can we also vouch that all the allocations made for education are released for that purpose? You recall that a few years ago in this country, there was what we call bribe for budgets allegation, and some senior government officials lost their jobs. For the students themselves, do we make judicious use of the resources provided for us? Do we treat our university as if it is our house? What about places of worship? A place which ought to pass on the right values to our children is now the butt of jokes by comedians. A preacher is recognized not so much by the number of souls transformed, but by the number of jets in the fleet of his private jets. Worshippers are recognized not by acts of piety, but how much money they donate to places of worship. What is my point? My point is that the critical institutions of society, the home, the school, the church, that should have, and I include the mosque, that should have inculcated the right moral compass, they have all failed. Recently, our president, during the 2014 National Honors Award ceremony, said that a nation is void and soulless if she does not have those sacred values it holds dear and individuals should protect them. Fantastic talk, but we must not only pontificate, we must also walk the talk. So in a summary, there is what I call collective culpability. So when we're talking about a subject like this, just think about the role that each and every one of you play. Number two, I've also observed the promotion of a culture of lawlessness and impunity in this country. I wonder how many people get punished for crimes conducted. Well, maybe only the poor or those who are not connected. Number three, what of corruption in high and low places? And let me just refer you to an article I read last year by one Tuesday Gardner in Guardian newspapers. He said that corruption is Nigeria's lingua franca, understood by all and spoken with varying degrees of fluency. It is now the transactional language of engagement in every encounter and interaction among Nigerians, modulating everything from our private thoughts and personal behavior to the theory and practice of our public policies. Is that not a pity? So, given this background, how do we save the education sector? It was late President Nelson Mandela who reminded us that education is the most powerful weapon which you can used to change the world. The most powerful weapon. So we all need to pay attention to this sector. And I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert in education administration. But I just have a few areas to reflect on. Number one, ranking. I wonder what is the wisdom in creating more universities in Nigeria when the existing ones have not been properly strengthened. What do I mean by this? As of 2018, we had 124 universities in the country, of which 50 are privately owned, but none of them is listed in the first 1,000 universities in the world, and none among the 10 top universities in Africa. Number two, instability in policy direction and administration. Between 1999, May, when democracy came to Nigeria, a period of 15 years, we've had 18 ministers of education, and most serving for less than a year. How can such turnover help stability in the sector? What of funding? UNESCO recommends 26% of the country's total budget to go into education. Increasingly, we've done less than 10. 2012, we did 8%. 2013, we did 8.7%. This year, 9.9%. But I'm glad that just 2 weeks ago, the Vice President did announce that there will be a 1.5 trillion fund dedicated to Nigerian universities within the next 5 years. And I really hope that this happens. Curriculum. Innovation and creativity drive the world today, and I hope that our university administrators are thinking of changing our curriculum. They need to be technology-driven, they need to respond to upcoming legislations. Global linkages and partnership, we need to be sure that we have interaction with similar organizations outside this country. And it is in that regard that I want to thank the Vice Chancellor and promoters of the International Center for Energy and Environmental Sustainability Research, which I understand in collaboration with some American schools and an oil company is going to be set up here. University administration. Universities must be run as a business. So let's start thinking of inviting successful CEOs to come into university boards instead of just appointing people based on political patronage. Overall, I think we need to fix the primary and the secondary school tier of education, failing which the universities will continue to wobble. It will simply be a case of garbage in, garbage out. The primary and secondary school tiers are so weak in Nigeria, and government should pay special attention to that. Now let me turn to the graduating students, and I hope you will just give me some of your time, pay attention to what I want to say. Before I offer you some advice, I want you to reflect on a statement that was made almost 100 years ago by Lord Frederick Lugard. He was Nigeria's first Governor General from 1912 to 1918. And that statement reads, "In character and temperament, the typical African of this race type is a happy, thriftless, excitable person, lacking in self-control, lacking in discipline, lacking in foresight, full of personal vanity, with little sense of veracity, is fond of music, his thoughts are concentrated on events and feelings of the moment, and he suffers little from the apprehension for the future or grave for the past. He lacks the power of organization and is conspicuously deficient in the management and control of men or business. He loves the display of power but fails to realize its responsibilities. Perhaps the two traits which have impressed me as those most characteristic of the African native his lack of apprehension and lack of ability to visualize the future. This is a statement that was made almost 100 years ago. And my prayer today is that our graduates, our young emerging Nigerian leaders, will not validate this statement another 100 years from now. So, my counsel to the graduating students, number one, you need to banish fear from your thoughts. It was Mike Jones who said that a mind focused on doubt and fear cannot focus on the journey to victory. Let me assure you this morning that your grade of pass notwithstanding, you can still succeed if you are not afraid and you believe in yourself. When I went for a mobil interview in 1989, I had no connections and I did not have a name in the Nigerian sense. I did not make a 2-1, I did not make a first class. I had a respectable 2-2. But I went in as if my life depended on the outcome of that interview. I paid attention to my appearance, I wore my best suit, I read everything I needed to read about mobil, and even when not asked, I volunteered pertinent information. I know you too can make it, but the starting point is don't be afraid. Number two, be aware that you are being watched. So you need to be ethical in all you do. I don't know why anyone will find delight in falsifying documents. Birth certificates, school credentials, even NYC discharge certificates. I was really saddened a few years ago when a first-class graduate with a distinction in the master's degree program had her employment offer withdrawn because the NYC discharge certificate was forged. She claimed the uncle procured it for her. It is also disheartening that a young man I know from a very poor family had showed up for interviews, scaled through a competitive interview process, and was at the verge of employment, but failed medical examination because of substance abuse. Please, you need to change your ways. The company that I work for, the way we achieve results is just as important as the results themselves. And be reminded there is no right way to do a wrong thing. Number three, I enjoy dreaming, and I also hope that all of you are products of a dream. Growing up, I wanted to explore and to conquer. I tried to join the Nigerian Navy, tried to join the Army, tried to be a journalist, tried to be in the Forest Service. All because I was not comfortable with my state, and I kept dreaming. Let me tell you a story. There is this young man from this state who was born in the 80s in a village where the ambition of every kid was to finish primary school, learn a trade, and get married. Going to secondary school was a rarity, but he had a different dream. He finished his primary education, proceeded to the ultimate secondary school, and it was only when he got there that he knew that there was something called the university. Nobody from his community had ever gone to university. Without any financial security, he proceeded to acquire 2 master's degrees, then a doctorate degree, and others. He even dared to go and study abroad. This dreamer is an alumnus of this university. If he can make it in life, you can also make it. So what is your dream? Follow it and never give up. But a dream without preparation is nothing. You must remember that success depends upon previous preparation, and without such preparation, there is sure to be failure. What do you really do in your spare time? If you conclude your NYC or you are about to go for NYC and you have time, why don't you consider enrolling in a professional development program? That way you can get certification. Why don't you sit for Cisco, Microsoft, or Oracle certification? all of you should be interested because you should be ICT savvy. Why don't you learn another language? When my second daughter, at age 15 in Lagos, started taking Chinese lessons, I was initially perplexed. Why studying Mandarin? But with China emerging as the next global leader in trade and investments around the globe, you can understand why. Consider mentorship, volunteering, internship opportunities. There are so many NGOs begging for your time. The least that can happen is that you will learn something and something afresh. Next, hard work does not kill. Work hard. A lot of you are lazy. Most of you like spending time watching movies. So let me refer you to what Will Smith, that you know as Prince of Bel-Air, said when asked about his many successes. I have always considered myself to be just average talent. And what I have is a ridiculous, insane obsessiveness for practice and preparation. Or put it differently, where I excel is ridiculous, sickening work ethic. You know, while the other guy is sleeping, I am working. Number 6, help is everywhere. You only need to shine your eyes. So many countries, so many organizations are offering scholarships. Don't spend time on the internet doing nothing meaningful. Let me tell you, there is this young Nigerian from Uyo State, the son of a cocoa farmer and a petty trader mother, who found his way to South Korea. How did he do it? Throughout his NYC year, he made it a duty to complete not less than 5 admission forms, sleeping in cyber cafes until he eventually got a scholarship for a master's program in the UK. From the UK, he ended up in Korea, and now he's in the US. So go to the internet and look for opportunities. 7, find a mentor. I know most of you indulge in watching FA soccer tournaments. Even if you are not a Liverpool fan, refer to the motto of Liverpool. It says, you will never walk alone. You are not meant to walk alone in this life. Seek a mentor early. Who is a mentor? Somebody who simply provides guidance, training, support, or advice. I remember when I was appointed into the board of mobil as executive director in 2004. The entire oil industry was in serious community crisis. Oil installations were routinely attacked. Workers, especially expatriate workers, were kidnapped for ransom. I was at that time responsible for the company's external relations. I worked hard, burning out and achieving little or no results. I decided to find a mentor. I went in search of brilliant emeritus Sunday, whom, though I had never met, had successfully reconciled the warring factions of Methodist Church Nigeria. From his wealth of experience, he gave me wise counsel, which helped me in the assessment and management of issues. So go find a mentor. Let me also offer you and all of us here a general advice. This is election season. You must register and vote for credible people to get into government. You must resist the temptation to be used to foment trouble. It was the revered scientist Albert Einstein who said that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is insanity. We must demonstrate that we are not insane by ensuring that we vote for people with proven track record, integrity, and above all, the fear of God. So in conclusion, to the graduating class, I salute you and I welcome you to the real world. Remember the credo of this institution: unity, learning, and service. Go out there and conquer the world. Always look up to God, your Creator, and when worried about your past or concerned for the future, take solace in one of my favorite hymns about God's faithfulness. Stanza 3 of that hymn says, "Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine, O dear presence, to cheer and to guide. Strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me." Thank you, good luck, and God bless.